Annaleah Atkinson first took her inner light consciousness in January 1976, strengthening her connection with Source and her healing abilities. She became an ILC guide that fall and a fellowship of the Inner Light Minister in 1998. She and her husband Joshua created a residential spiritual community outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and invited the community to their weekly healing program using eclectic techniques. Annaleah practiced intuitive healing, Reiki, healing touch. She presents the teachings of the Course in Miracles and of Huna principles. Annaleah is a creator of the Fellowship Game, a unique adventure in spiritual growth. So on the topic, 5-step communication process, please welcome Annaleah Atkinson.
I'll start standing. Hi, it's so nice to see you wonderful people. And my talk is going to be about communicating. You should have the handout. If you don't, Sarah has them to hand out. Okay, Jerry, you need one? Okay, Jerry needs one. This was given by Paul. It's actually, I think, from Virginia Satir. It helps, she was a relationship therapist, and it was kind of modified to do this. And when I first started doing this, it was pretty much to have a good conversation with someone, understand them. And if you look at it, it's really about getting to know yourself so you can present that to them, and then they go through and get to know where their thoughts and wants are coming from so they can get their needs met. So anyway, that's how I started it. Well, in 1998, I became an ordained minister, but I also became a mediator. And I mediated for the community and the courts in North Carolina. And I started that because my son took a peer mediation class. They're so great. Get them in your school systems, And anyway, I went and took an adult mediation class, and I loved it. And then before we moved to Kauai, I went and I said, is there mediation going on here? And they said, yeah, there is. So we decided we would move because it was so important. So this became, in a sense, a tool I could use in mediation. I was thinking about mediating together. Now I look at it, and just as Brian was sharing, and as we're all believing and experiencing more and more, we are one. It talks about Jesus had Adam. He had one son. And then from that was the separation, because Adam wanted experience. Adam wanted a mate. God loves us. We are spirit. That's it. We are spirit. And we're invincible. We're invulnerable. Nothing that happens in this world can affect the perfection that we are. And I gave this example in the pre-gathering, and I'm going to give it again, so I hope you don't mind. But think of it this way. A loving father puts his child to bed, and he's sleeping peacefully. And he goes into the room, and he's reading or watching TV or something, and then he hears crying coming from the bedroom. And he runs out to see if his son's okay, and his son is sleeping but having a nightmare and calling out in the nightmare. And he's very upset that the father looks and he's safe. He's safe in his bed. He's going through what he has to go through, and he will wake with me tomorrow. That's our lifetime, folks. We go through and we create our dream. We create our life. the sixth garden, I am responsible for everything I experience. That's the good and the bad. But the bad, how many of you have thought, oh, this is bad? And when you've gone through it, you've like, wow, did I learn a lot? Wow, this was really important to me. I appreciate this. So it's not, you really can't judge it. Like this is I'd like to learn this lesson fast so I can be done with whatever's going on here. That's the way I look at it now. And if I'm in a difficult situation, I put myself there. We attract what we need to learn. We attract the people we need to learn from. It can be with grace and ease, or it can be with stress and confusion. But we will learn. We will go through it. And at the end, all of that falls off, and we go and return to our beloved Father. Father, Mother, Creator. It's just, people use the term Father. I mean, Source, Creator, whatever you want to call it. If you just want to say Mother, that's fine. God knows. So anyway, here is a way of going through something that you maybe want to talk about with someone. And it's maybe a difficult conversation. So you might need a guideline. So first, and this is a holistic approach as well, because we're going to go through the physical, the perceptual, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So first, you describe what your senses have fed you. When I see you come in, and you don't pay any attention to me, you don't even say hi, and you just walk around, and I may want to be friendly with you, and you sort of don't listen. That makes me feel, okay? It makes me feel a little bit alienated from you. It makes me feel like you don't care that I'm in your life. It makes me feel uncomfortable. That's my perceptual. I think you don't mean to see me, And so then you go into the feelings. It could make me sad. Hey, some people, they're glad. They wouldn't even be having this conversation. You go your way, I go my way, and we'll get together just to party or something. But if someone's having this conversation, they're probably saying it makes me sad, or it may make me angry. People have two ways of, they've got many ways of responding, but there are people who get angry and they get it off their chests, and it's fast, maybe not very conscious, but they're saying what they feel. And then there are people who suppress that anger until it becomes sadness, because that's kind of where sadness comes from, depression. I'm not saying what I need to say when I need to say it. I stuff it. Okay, so then you have the mental belief, to go back to what I was complaining about. And that's your personal code. For example, I believe that people who care about each other listen to each other. That would be why I would be upset if when I try to speak to you, you ignore me. All right? That they share equally, they don't hurt each other, because some people use their silence as a weapon. And they're honest. That's my code. That's what I live by. That's what I would like to have in my life. And then I go down, and the resolution is like, it's spiritual. Spiritual is coming together, resolving. Spiritual is healing. So I consider that the spiritual aspect. What I need is for you to be clear and kind and understandable and to listen to me. And what I will do for you, I will be solution-minded and caring, and I will try not to interrupt you, but maybe we schedule a time where we can be together. Karen, I wanted to share that with what you were saying with your sister yesterday. It's like, because she said, I don't like being interrupted. And I'm like, I don't like being interrupted. A lot of people don't like being interrupted. But if you, in advance, said, hey, would you tell me a good time when we could get together and have some fun, or something like that. So anyway, that's it. That is basically the 5-step communication process. Now, using it sometimes takes a little practice. But now, after my mediation days, I look at it as, okay, this person is a part of me. So I want to be very gentle with this person. The Course says, that which I give to myself. A Course in Miracles says that. Because we're all one. And there's a little law of karma that what I put out in the world does come back to me. It will come back. There's also the law of grace. And the law of grace is, if I am no longer that person that would have done this thing, like be angry with people all the time, or create lies, or physically abuse people, the things that people, get caught up in. If I change that, then when that energy comes back to me, it won't find me, because it's all energetic at that level. I'm not there. Okay? So that's the way out. Forgive yourself, forgive others. We are one. Danny and Brinkley wrote this book. It's just, I can't say this enough. It's like I studied near-death experiences when my father was getting ready to die in 1978. And I wanted, we had Diane Fortune, we had information, we knew of life after life, but I wanted to find something for my dad. So I found Moody's, I think it's Ralph Moody? Anyway, Life After Life. Raymond Moody, thank you. I should write that down. So anyway, and even then he wasn't real receptive to that. But here's a trick. Edgar Cayce said that 10 minutes within someone falling asleep, you can say things to them and it will help program them. It will create a belief. It's something for them to think about, or they'll get it. At least they'll receive it. And I did this with my father. But one of the things he shared is that when you pass, this is the giving and receiving, you feel whatever it was that you put out in the world. Okay? If I was loving, I feel how people felt loved around me. If I hurt them, I will feel it as they felt it. Okay? And he gave a couple of stories. This boy was like a bully to this kid at school, and they were walking home, and he kind of beat him up, roughed him up, threatened him. And when the kid got to home, he was bleeding and he was upset and his parents got all upset. That man felt everything. He felt every strike, the emotions of it, the physicality of it, and then the parents, what the parents felt. Danny and Brinkley took it further. He was actually trained as an assassin by the United States government. And he grew up as a bully, and he said, and I ended up with the perfect job. I became an assassin. So his job was to shoot people in different places. I think it was a Vietnamese war. And then one day he was on the telephone during a thunderstorm, and lightning went through the phone, arced him up, and he fell over in his bed, and he was out. They thought he might have died. In fact, they carried him out, and he had died for a few minutes, and they put the sheet over him in the hospital, and he's like, oh my God. He came back, and the only thing he could do was blow and hope that they'd see the sheet move. And they did, and they brought him back. But he'd already gone through his life review. He felt every bullet. He felt the devastation, all in the community. And he vowed he would totally change his life. And he did. It took him a while to walk because he was crippled. The electricity went through, and he had to wear these goggles that kind of stuck out. He said, I walked with a walker. He said, I looked like a giant bug. But I thought that was, at least he had a sense of humor. He went to hospice and nursing homes and told them, don't fear death. Because he did get to the beautiful light after he went through that. And he said, it's a beautiful place. And some people requested, that he talk to their family. And he, charged them. And so that was so great. And then he died again because the lightning had damaged part of his heart, and he had a heart attack. And he had that heart attack, and he went through the life review. He went through the first part with the negative, but then he saw how his loving calmness when he went to the nursing home, and when he started speaking about we are all one, we all affect each other, made a difference in people's lives. And he wrote a book about it. So it was that really got me thinking about my behavior. What do I want to put in the world? What do I want to put in someone else? And what do I want to experience when I'm done? I invite you to do that. I invite you to treat everybody as a part of yourself, because there's truth in that. There's the true, spiritually. Everybody is a part of you. And we're getting to know that. We're getting to experience that more and more. Psychologists and metaphysicians are beginning to realize that we are all one. So, now, okay. So do you see how it works? You think you could do it? Yes, Joshua? Okay.
One of the things that I think is, for me, it's worth noting, there wasn't this grand resolution and it's all, popcorn and merriment now. But at least the cards are on the table.
Yes.
So it's at least a starting point.
Yes. Yes, Joshua said, what came out, maybe it was not such a great grand revelation, and they're going to do this, and maybe it'll be fabulous, but all the cards are on the table now. They know what each other is thinking and feeling. They know that they love each other, and they both want to be together, and they're both going to try to do their best to get it. I think that's a kind of a win-win-win-win-win. Okay. Okay, let me just share this one thing about I shared this yesterday. The one need that everybody has is to feel loved. That's the one need. I try to get to that in mediation. I wanted to have prayer before mediation, but the judge, the Hawaii justice said no. So, but the idea is, if you're loving, and Brian talked about that too. If you're loving, and you mean it, they will get it, and your words can follow. And I love you all.